Pretty much everything you do online, from streaming a movie to checking your bank account, it all boils down to one huge, crucial question. Where does the data actually live? Today, we're going inside the stack to find out.
Welcome to the Tech Playbook, where we dive inside the stack. This is where we explore how products are built, how teams work, and the systems and decisions that power modern technology.
So, let's ask that big question. Where does your data actually live? Every time you use an app, is your info squirreled away in some company's private super secure server room? Or is it out there, part of some huge global network? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the three main ways this is handled. On-premises, the cloud, and the one that's getting super popular, the hybrid model.
Okay, to make this super simple, let's just forget about all the techie stuff for a second. Let's talk about something we all get. Real estate. Yeah, believe it or not, this whole tech infrastructure thing is a lot like deciding whether you want to buy a house or just rent an apartment.
So think about it. On-premises, that's like owning your house. You have complete control, right? You can paint the walls whatever crazy color you want, knock down a wall, build a deck. It's all you. But, and this is a big but, you're also on the hook for everything. The roof starts leaking, that's your problem. The furnace dies in the middle of winter, yep, you're making that call. Plus, there's that massive upfront cost. Now the cloud, that's like renting an apartment. It's all about flexibility and convenience. The landlord or the building manager, they handle all the maintenance, and you just pay your rent every month. You can move in fast, and if you need a bigger place or even a smaller one, it's pretty easy to make that happen.
All right, so bringing it back to tech, that owning a house model, that's what we call on-premises. This is where a company literally buys, owns, and manages all of its own stuff, the servers, the software, the networking gear, and keeps it all inside their own building. This means they need a really skilled IT team to handle all the upkeep. They need physical security like locks and cameras, backup power, the whole 9 yards. The upside? They have absolute total control. And then you've got the cloud. Instead of buying a single piece of hardware, a company just rents it. They rent computing power, storage, you name it, from one of the big players like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud. These providers have these massive global data centers, and companies can tap into those resources instantly, right over the internet. And here's the kicker, they only pay for what they actually use. And this difference, it's not just technical, it's a fundamental shift in how businesses handle their money. On-premises is what's known as a capital expenditure, or CapEx. That's a huge, upfront investment in physical stuff that loses value over time. The cloud, on the other hand, is an operational expenditure, or OpEx. It's just like paying your electricity bill every month. And this pay-as-you-go model, it was a total game changer. It's what allowed tiny startups to suddenly compete with giant corporations because they didn't need millions of dollars for servers just to get started. Okay, but what about security? This is always a huge question. With an on-premise setup, it's pretty simple. Security is 100% your responsibility. You are the sole gatekeeper for literally everything. The cloud, though, works on something called a shared responsibility model. Think of it like this. The cloud provider, like Amazon, is responsible for the security of the cloud, so protecting the actual buildings, the hardware, the network. But you, the customer, you're responsible for security in the cloud. That means you have to manage who gets access, you have to encrypt your own data, and make sure your apps are configured securely. Now, you might be thinking, well, having total control on-prem has to be more secure, right? But here's something that might surprise you. These cloud providers, they invest billions of dollars in security. They have armies of the world's best experts working around the clock to offer protections that most individual companies could never dream of affording. In fact, one survey found that a whopping 94% of businesses said their security actually improved after they moved to the cloud. Kind of goes against what you'd expect, doesn't it? So, on one hand, you've got the total control of on-premises. On the other, the incredible flexibility and scale of the cloud. But here's the thing. In the real world, this debate is rarely so black and white. Most big companies are realizing they don't have to choose. They actually need a little bit of both. And that brings us to the modern solution, the hybrid cloud. It's basically an IT architecture that builds a secure bridge connecting a company's private on-premise systems with public cloud services. So it's not about choosing one or the other, it's about making them work together, seamlessly. So, how does this actually work in the real world? Let's take a bank. It's a perfect example. Okay, so, step 1. They have to keep their most sensitive, high-risk data. We're talking transaction records, personal customer info, on their own private servers. They have to do this to meet super strict government regulations. But step 2, their customer-facing mobile banking app. That runs in the public cloud. Why? Because on payday or during a holiday, the traffic can spike like crazy, and the cloud can handle that instantly without breaking a sweat. And step 3, the magic part? The two systems are securely connected, so the app works perfectly for you, the customer, while all that core financial data stays locked down and protected.
And let me tell you, this hybrid approach is absolutely exploding in popularity. Right now, more than half of all large companies are already using a hybrid strategy. And if you look at the projections from researchers at IDC, that number is expected to jump to over 75% by 2026. So the key takeaway here is that hybrid isn't just some passing trend. It's pretty much becoming the gold standard for modern IT.
All right, so let's see if you've got it. Time for a little pop quiz. Imagine an e-commerce store. They have to keep customer payment data, credit card numbers, super secure. That's high-risk stuff. But at the same time, their website needs to handle these insane traffic spikes during holiday sales. So, based on everything we've just talked about, what do you think is their best choice? On-prem, cloud, or hybrid?
Think you know it? Go ahead and write your answer down in the comments below. On-prem, cloud, or hybrid? I'm actually really curious to see what you all come up with. It's a great way to lock in what we've just covered. Thanks for tuning into this episode, brought to you by the Tech Playbook, Inside the Stack. Like, comment, and subscribe for clear, practical tech education.
This is the Tech Playbook, and you're inside the stack.